Yes, this is Alan from the Alford Sports Talk Show. So, since we have our first Japanese player going into Hall of Fame, can you each talk about Ichiro Suzuki as a person, as a player, and your thoughts about him going to be the first Hall of Famer from Japan?
Go. You guys actually, you played against him a lot more than I did. I just played against him.
I only crossed over with Ichiro 2001, I think. I got my locker was next to him at the All-Star game in Seattle, which I thought was really cool. He asked for my jersey, so I took it off and gave it to him. I was honored for that. But playing against him, it was just amazing. But it dawned on me when you were talking that the difference in 86 and 96. So, when you're there, everybody was for the team in Japan. Nobody did anything that would separate themselves, like, to say, look what I did and all that kind of stuff. And so it was all very respectful, calm, and it was all for the team. And then we go back in 96, and I think we made the last out of the first inning, fly ball to center field. Ichiro catches it. He snatches it like this and starts running and puts the ball in the stands, and the people go crazy. And I'm thinking, wow, that something's changed in 10 years. So the individual started to be celebrated a little bit more, and maybe that opened up the trying new things. And it's not all like baseball is a really hard game, and hitting. I always say that nobody really hits exactly the same. We all take certain fundamentals and apply your individual talent to it. Same with defense. And I think in some ways when you start to grab that individual talent and then try to see what that can do within the mechanical side of the game, then you really get something. So I thought it was funny. The other remembrance I had in that series was I think Ichiro went 3-0 leading off the game. And then he swung 3-0, hit a bullet up the middle for a hit, same sort of reaction that everybody reacted to him. And I thought that was fantastic.
Did you pitch to him, Jeff?
Yeah, I never did pitch to him. And while he was going through his incredible career, I had to ask myself, because it's the competitiveness in all of us athletes, what do you think, Jack? Could you get him up? And the answer kept coming back not in my favor. I always said, and I always will say, the hardest guys for pitchers like me, probably like Nomo and everybody else that ever stepped on the mound, is contact hitters are difficult outs. And Ichiro was a premier contact hitter. It didn't matter if he was already out of the box swinging, throwing his bat at it. He somehow barreled the ball up. And that would have been a hard at bat for me to try to get a guy like him out. I didn't realize until I watched him a lot how fast he was, what a great arm he had. His defense was, you want him out there behind you if you're on the mound. So, I took my hat to him. This guy, he could do it all, and he did it for a long, long time. And the number of hits he got, it's pretty remarkable. So I would have to say he'd win the war against me. I'd have to try to pitch to the next guy and hope he clogs up the bases.
Let me say that when I look at Ichiro and try and figure out how I would defense him or who I would compare him to, and I would certainly compare him to Tony Gwynn with his ability to hit the ball all over the ballpark, and he's a multi-dimensional player. Can do everything, and as I said earlier, I think that's what has made them so much better. They're very well-rounded players, and he's very deserving to be here.
Quickly, yeah. I went to Japan to manage in '95. That was the year that Nomo came over here, and that was the year after Ichiro was the Rookie of the Year, the MVP for the Oryx Blue Wave in '94. And I went to spring training. Actually, I had the team come to Arizona for spring training for 3 weeks because I was the American. I wanted the team to come over. And every night, all of the coaches got together and looked at video and looked at charts and figured out things on one guy, on Ichiro, on this phenomenal person that we were going to face on opening day. And it turned out right after the Kobe earthquake. It was after that happening in Japan. Anyway, He played for a year. He showed me what he could do. I asked him for an autographed bat and told him that he was one of the best players I ever saw. And then as things went fast forward, I was managing and he became a free agent, and I was in New York and I was trying to convince my people that we needed to sign him. He's the guy we needed. He was the best outfielder I ever saw. He was the fastest runner down the first that I had. He had the best contact, la-di-da-di-da-di-da. And I was told at the end of the day that they didn't want a singles hitter in the outfield. And I said, what if he got 200 of them? I swear. And he got 240 of them. He's just, in my mind, he's a genius. I have geniuses sitting next to me, but you know they're the Mozarts amongst all of the concert pianists. You know they write the music, not only play it, and that's what he does. He's an absolute, or was when he played. I think he can still play. Was a genius.
And I just want to add from a totally different standpoint that his respect and understanding of the history of baseball, and you just don't see players come to the Hall of Fame while they're actively playing in the wintertime 7-8 times because they just want to touch the bat of the guy whose record they broke, or be here in the freezing cold and snow to see this place. And the amount of artifacts he's donated throughout his career that allowed us to create the exhibit upstairs that you're going to see, you just don't see people who do that. And I think from our standpoint, from a Hall of Fame standpoint, we're just so grateful that he cares so much about the history of the game, not just in his home country, but here in the United States. It's really what the Trans-Pacific Exchange of Baseball is all about.